Hey everybody, this is the virtual controller and welcome to my first video. So tonight I'm in Miami. We're looking east towards the ocean at the terminal building and we already have a flight that's coming in. I think it's Aero Caribbean. He's on final. He didn't know there was ATC tonight, so he was already on like a 5 mile final by the time I told him that he needed to contact me. But all's good. He went ahead and contacted me, and I cleared him to land. You can see there's the radar image. I'm signed into the IVAO network, IVAO, and I'm a virtual air traffic controller with them. Also a virtual air traffic controller on POSCON, which is another network, but I'll discuss that at another video. So he's on final approach right now to runway 27. You see the Miami skyline off to his right. So I want to talk about becoming a virtual air traffic controller because that's the whole reason I'm making this series of videos and I have this channel is to share my hobby with everybody in hopes that I can get more people interested in doing this type of thing. Really, all that's required is a computer and a desire to learn, preferably a microphone. But that's really about it. Everything's free except for the flight simulator if you choose to use that for tower view like I do here. IVAO provides all the software you need, whether it's the air traffic control software or the pilot client, if you're a pilot flying on it, or if you want to use Tower View. But it's all free and provided by them. And he's about to turn off onto the taxiway. Okay, so here um, we have a text box up. This is Aurora, which is the IVAO radar client, and I'm communicating with the pilot through the text box because he doesn't have voice, which is okay. They're allowed to do that. It's a lot more realistic, obviously, if we have voice, but we have to make do with what we have. So what you're looking at here is the layout of Miami International Airport. And I want to point out I have the runway configuration wrong. We were landing to the west and I have the east set up, but it is what it is. I just forgot to change it. Um, Normally I would have caught that, but it happens. A lot of the pilots are from other countries or are new, and sometimes they don't understand the procedures. And he's basically going down the wrong taxiway, so I had to instruct him to do the right one. At Miami, taxiway Tango is used for inbound traffic, and taxiway Sierra is used for outbound traffic. So anybody coming towards the terminal, basically it's just like the rules of the road in America. You drive on the right-hand side. So taxiway Tango, you're driving on the right-hand side if you're heading eastbound towards the terminal, and Sierra, you go westbound. He was going eastbound on Sierra, but he never even asked and he didn't follow the instructions. But there's a bit of a language barrier probably, or he's new, or he just wanted to do his own thing. Sometimes that happens too. Um, but in this case, I told him to hold this position, and then I told him to where to go exactly, gave him some directions, and he eventually followed them after a few minutes. These videos are going to be edited because there's a lot of silence and periods of inactivity that I'm sure you don't really want to see. It gets boring looking at a blank radar screen with nothing on it for a while. So, like right now, I'm doing a voiceover because there's silence. In a few seconds, I'm going to switch back to when I was actually controlling, just so you can hear some of my comments then, and I'll be switching back and forth between the videos. There's some interesting things that I talked about.
Message on primary.
Okay, I think he's got it now. I try not to be mean with them, but on the other hand, they need to not just do what they want to do. If he makes the turn here. So in IVAO and very similarly in VATSIM, which is one of the other networks, you start out as a student. And right now my rating is AS3. Basically, when you come into IVAO, you're an AS1, which is an ATC applicant. And then you take a couple of, or take a test. And then if you pass the test, you get to AS2. The test is pretty simple. It's basic air traffic control. You do need to at least watch the videos and read up a little bit if you're not familiar. If you're familiar with it, like you're already a pilot or you've done this before, it's really not that big of a deal to do. For AS2, you are limited in what you can control. Normally, it's just ground control and clearance delivery. Clearance delivery is when you hand out the clearances to aircraft that are looking to depart, and ground control, can you control the aircraft on the airport. And then the next step up would be tower. Once you put in a certain amount of time, I believe it's 10 hours, you become an AS3, which is what I am. And basically, it's an advanced ATC student, and you're allowed to do control tower. And when you do control tower, it's top down. So you're also do ground control and clearance delivery if nobody staffs it. Ground control and clearance delivery usually are one position. There's not many times where it's broken up into two. If we have a lot of staffing, like for an event, they might break it out, but most of the time it's not like that. Well, let me do it again, and hopefully he'll make the right turn there. Needs to be on this one, not this one. There he goes. There, good. Now he's doing it. At least he's getting it. I already cleared him to cross the runway, so he might ask again, but that's okay. A lot of times they'll ask just to be sure because you're really not supposed to cross a runway without permission. But yeah, so anyway, so the reason I started this channel is I want to share my experiences with people to hopefully maybe get some other people interested in this. Um, we need controllers, especially in the United States. Um, right now, I'm on the IVAO network, IVAO. There's two other networks out there. There's VATSIM and POSCON. VATSIM is the more popular one, at least in the United States. IVAO is popular in Europe and South America. That's why here in Miami we get a lot of pilots who fly up from South America. Um, but we need controllers. We need people interested. And we also need pilots to fly too. So in case you're wondering, or maybe you just didn't know, but this plane here is being piloted by a real person that is flying on their flight simulator connected into the network. It's in the same network I am. Um, as a controller on IVAO, we have to use their software, and so does the pilot. And the software, basically what it does is it gets you a radar screen like this. This is the Aurora program. It allows you to see all the planes that are on your network, and or at least in your area, depending on what you're controlling. You do have to get some training before you can control. You can't just hop on and do whatever. But the training really is fairly simple. If you know anything about flying, if you're like a private pilot in real life or just interested in it, or you can know nothing about it and be willing to learn it, it's really not that difficult. Um, at least on IVAO, they don't make it that difficult. Um, POSCON, you don't need any training at all, but that's a whole other story. That's for another video. And VATSIM takes a lot of training to become a controller on VATSIM. And the only reason I'm on here and not VATSIM is just I don't have the time right now to dedicate to that much training on there. I've been told things have changed. This is going back a couple of years ago that I was doing it, but either way, regardless, you still have to get some training here, some basic knowledge to because we try to follow the FAA rules on how to do air traffic control because we want to make it as realistic as possible for the pilots that are flying. And in exchange, we ask the pilots to be as realistic as possible on their end for us, but sometimes it doesn't happen, um, either because of lack of education. Because really, you need some basic like knowledge that you're going to learn as a pilot, but it's not anywhere near as much as the controller. And he went the wrong way for the gate. He's supposed to be going to H. I got a second. Actually, there is no H21.
Message on primary. Message on primary.
So here's a view. This is called WebEye. This is a view of their traffic right now. And so these airports here that have the grayed in circles, those have traffic coming in and out. So right now we have nobody coming in. We have one going out, but that's already been out for like 3 hours. They're going overseas. I forgot what LIPE is. But yeah, that's Bologna Airport in Italy. Most of our stuff goes overseas. Once in a while, we'll get a domestic flight, but a lot of times it doesn't happen. So this is the guy that just landed. And this red circle means that I am controlling this on the control tower. That's my ID right there. It would show the names if you're signed in, but because we're not allowed to disclose any pilot names or even under other controllers on the system without permission. So I just they signed out on here. That way I don't take a chance of violating that policy. Now I'm going to talk about airspace and the radar for a few minutes. This is my airspace. Anything that happens outside of this airspace, I have no control over. If I was approach control, I would have control over this area right here. And then if I was center, I would have control. Hang on, sorry. I would have control over this whole area right here, which is pretty significant. Basically, it goes up to Orlando and Tampa, and then all the way down to uh, Bahamas. Doesn't go to Puerto Rico. This is Haiti and Dominican Republic, and this is Cuba, but it basically goes almost all the way down there. Um, I think it also covers the Virgin Islands. I think I don't know, but I know the Bahamas definitely. But Bahamas have their own center over here in approach, so we cover the center part, but they have their own approach control, I believe. So actually, I don't think they have their own center, but it doesn't matter. I don't staff it anyway. So anyway, that's pretty much it for here. Um, so one of the cool things about what I do, and not all the controllers do this, is I have X-Plane hooked up, and I'm actually running X-Plane on a second monitor. And so I'll have the radar screen on one monitor, and I'll have X-Plane running on the other. And I put my plane at Miami International, but then I go into tower view, which is shift 5, and it puts you into tower view. And now I'm looking out the control tower of the airport. Um, that's what that's what this view is here. And I have the Miami scenery. I did some modifications to it because I did not like the way that the static airplanes were coming up. Because you can set an X-plane where it'll generate AI aircraft for you, and you can specify what airline at what gate, but it kind of does it almost at random. Sometimes it doesn't. Um, Sometimes it ignores what you're saying in the file. Because I went through the file and set it. So the problem was, you look over now. I've been to Miami many times, so I know what airlines are where generally. And what had happened was over here, this part of Terminal D, this is where the commuters, I used to call them commuters, the regional jets go. And you can see it's all American. I mean, it's a hub for American Airlines. All these jets here, these tails are messed up, but these are all American Airlines jets, as you kind of see here. So the problem was when it was generating that scenery or generating the static airplanes, it was putting like Alitalia and Air Canada and all these at these gates here, which have or Air France. That was the funny one. It had an Air France regional jet right here. Um, so I turned all that off, and then I manually placed these planes in, just to make it a little bit more realistic. And I actually went through, and all these planes that are here are static. Nobody's flying them, but it's just for scenery to make it look a little realistic, a little more realistic. So these white tails I'm in the process of fixing. What it is it's the tail light, but they botched it up when they did the design of it, so it's hiding the tail emblem. You can't really see what it is, but you can see some of the airplanes here. These are the real airplanes as to where they would actually be. Believe it or not, I used a combination of Google Maps and the satellite image to look and see what airlines were at what gates, and then also called FlightAware. Went on FlightAware also and looked at the flights that had arrived, and it tells you what gate they were going to. So I kind of placed them based on that, where they usually are. One of the things I like about this scenery quite a bit is the realism. You see a police car there going really fast. That's kind of funny. But this, like for instance, this is the Dolphin Expressway right here, or I think it's the Dolphin. Yeah, he's in a hurry. That's really pretty funny. But it looks fairly realistic. I mean, it's especially when you zoom out a little bit. One of my friends was joking around and said that it'd be more realistic if it had traffic stopped and backed up. But yeah, and that's the Palmetto Expressway over there. This is West Cargo and East Cargo. The Atlas Air over there, some LATAM, they're called, LATAM. This one this is Cargo City over here. I have to troubleshoot it because, oops. So DHL is over here. I'm trying to find some Amazon Prime planes because that's what's here, but I got one DHL plane here. There's supposed to be two more right here in the scenery, but for some reason they're not showing up, and it's the exact same model, so I'm not really sure, but I have to troubleshoot that. Not tonight though. It's full. One of the other cool things about this is it's real time and real time weather. So what you see on this is really probably what you see if you were sitting in Miami right now, clear night with the moon up. When there's a thunderstorm over, it's thundering and lightning here, which was pretty cool because you actually hear the thunder when it comes down. Maybe one of my videos, I'll show that. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a few things here. Um, this is called WebEye. This is on the IVAO network. VATSIM has something similar. I think it's called VATSPY. It's and there's also VATtastic. That's another one where it shows the pilots on and controllers on their network. This is on the IVAO network. I'm not going to get into a discussion on here as to which network's better. Everybody has their personal preferences, and really, you'd have to try both to see which one is better for you. I'm a little bit more biased towards IVAO just because I've had a better time on here than VATSIM as a controller. But the problem is that we need controllers. We don't have enough for the United States, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So these are all the pilots that are flying right now. United States. Each one of these is a person on a flight simulator actually flying. And as you can see here by this red circle, I am the only controller right now in the United States on this network. Usually you'll see like a couple of things pop up, but it's very few and far between. Um, when I click on the airport, it'll show you over here inbound and outbound flights based on the flight plans that are being filed. Right now, there's nobody coming in. So we just landed the last airplane, and there'll probably be nobody for hours, possibly, unless somebody from Cuba takes off or from a closer airport takes off. Um, Now, Fort Lauderdale to our north, they got all these flights coming in. These are from Cardiff, England. They're probably all cargo flights. They have tours in IVAO, and the tour system is actually pretty cool. Um, you get points towards getting an award. Basically, every cargo flight you fly, or it could be not just cargo, but they have different tours for different things, and as long as you participate in them, like for instance, even the ATC, or traffic controllers, have a tour. In the United States, Thursday is what they call the online day. If you sign in and you control for any amount of time on Thursdays between the time frame that they say, which is most of the day, then you get a point towards your final, and I think it's like 20 points and you get an award. The awards are just virtual awards. You get like a little ribbon on your profile, and it's mainly bragging rights or personal achievement, type thing. Doesn't mean anything as far as ranks are concerned or anything like that, but um, it's something you do just for fun. Kind of like, if you look at like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, where you would do different battles and then try to level up to a different level, or really any type of game like that. It's sort of the same here, except you're not really leveling up. You're just getting awards that you can keep, and you can kind of look back and go, yeah, hey, I remember that. I got that. That's why Fort Lauderdale's busy, because that's a designated cargo airport. Miami is not. Um, Sometimes they'll get a cargo plane in there, but not quite as busy. Ooh, supposed to say the altimeter and the information if it changed the ATIS letter. So ATIS, it basically tells what runways are in use, the weather, current weather conditions, things like that. It's assigned a letter, and that letter changes every hour because the conditions can change every hour. So when it changes, you're supposed to announce that it's changed, and then you're supposed to read the altimeter, which is right here. It's in inches of mercury. So I'm going to go do that now. Attention all aircraft information. Charlie is current, Miami altimeter 2983. All right, so we're getting ready to shut down here. So we're going to be doing the closing notice. We've been on for 56 minutes. So we got about another 4 minutes for an hour. I usually do an hour and 1 minute just to be sure that it's an hour. Not that it really means anything. That's more of a thing that I do just because I guess OCD. I like to do an hour even and minimum. And if it's 59 minutes, I'm not going to be happy. So we're now at 1 hour and 2 minutes. So we are shutting down. I'm just going to let everybody know. Attention all aircraft, Miami Tower is offline. Switch to Unicom 122.8. Have a great night. Now, there's no airplanes here. Nobody probably heard me because there's nobody here. But that's just in case somebody was connecting in. They haven't gone online yet on here, but they're connected into IVAO, and they can hear what I'm saying sometimes. So that's it. Like I said, any questions, comments, concerns, leave me a comment down below. Hit like and subscribe if you like it and want to see more. And other than that, y'all have a great night.